1 Kings chapter 4. Now, before we dive into this chapter, I'm going to give you a little precursor. The first half of this chapter is a list of a bunch of leaders in his government, of which I will probably butcher the majority of their names, but I'm going to say them confidently so it sounds like I know how to pronounce them. And it's probably going to be a little boring for a couple minutes. And then we're going to get to the back half of the chapter where we are going to cover his provisions and the king's table and some interesting things that God reveals to us. So here we go. So King Solomon ruled over all Israel, and these were his chief officials: Azariah, son of Zadok the priest; Elihoreph and Ahijah, sons of Shisha, secretaries; Jehoshaphat, son of Ahuled, recorder, silly me; Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, commander-in-chief. Okay, he was the dude that ran the army. We learned about him earlier. Zadok and Abiathar, the priests. We've already heard of them. Azariah, son of Nathan. He was the prophet in charge of the district governors. Zabud, son of Nathan, a priest and advisor to the king. Ahishar, palace administrator. Adoniram, son of Abda, in charge of forced labor. For Solomon had 12 district governors over all Israel who supplied provisions for the king and the royal household. Each one had to provide supplies for 1 month in the year. These are their names. So what he did was basically he just gave each district a month. And he said, during that month, you have all 11 months to prepare. And during your month, you will provide a great bounty from my table. We'll learn about what he had brought in. The man knew how to do business. He not only was wise in how he led, he was wise in what he built. Here we go. Ben-Hur in the hill country of Ephraim. Ben-Decker in Makaz, Shalbim, Beth-Shemesh, and Elon, Beth-Hanan. Ben-Hesed in Arubath. Sokah and all the land of Hefer were his. Ben-Abinadab in Naphath Dor. He was married to Taphath, daughter of Solomon. Banah, son of Ahuled, in Tanakh and Megiddo. In all of Beth-Shan next to Zarethan, below Jezreel, from Beth-Shan to Abel-Meholah, across to Jokmeam. Ben-Geber in Ramoth-Gilead. The settlements of Jair, son of Manasseh, in Gilead were his, as well as the region of Argob and Bashan and its 60 large walled cities with bronze gate bars. Ahinadab, son of Edo, in Mahanaim. Ahimaaz in Naphtali. He had married Basemath, daughter of Solomon. Banah, son of Hushai, in Asher in Elath. Jehoshaphat, son of Parah, in Issachar. Shimei, son of Elah, in Benjamin. Geber, son of Uri, in Gilead, the country of Sihon, king of the Ammonites, in the country of Og, king of Bashan. He was the only governor over the district. All right, got that knocked out. Verse 20. The people of Judah and Israel were as numerous as the sand on the seashore. They ate, they drank, and they were happy. Sounds like everything is going great. The nation is prospering. People are full of joy. God has used Solomon to prosper his people. And Solomon ruled over all the kingdoms from the Euphrates River to the land of the Philistines, as far as the border of Egypt. These countries brought tribute and were Solomon's subjects all his life. Not only did he lead Israel well, there were nations that he led as well, and they essentially were taxed by him to help prosper God's people. It's as if he took the enemies of Israel captive and used them to build what God would build through him. Solomon's daily provisions, this is daily, okay, were 30 cores of the finest flour. If you look in your margin, that is probably about 5.5 tons or 5 metric tons. That's a lot of flour. 60 cores of meal, 10 head of stall-fed cattle, 20 of pasture-fed cattle, and 100 sheep and goats, as well as deer, gazelles, roebucks, and choice fowl, which are birds. For he ruled over all the kingdoms west of the Euphrates River from Tiphsah to Gaza, and he had peace on all sides. During Solomon's lifetime, Judah and Israel from Dan to Beersheba lived in safety, and everyone under their own vine and under their own fig tree. The people were prosperous. The people were blessed. Solomon had 4,000 stalls for chariot horses and 12,000 horses. He had quite the cavalry. The district governors, each in his month, supplied provisions for King Solomon, and all who came to the king's table, they saw to it that nothing was lacking. They also brought to the proper place their quotas of barley and straw for the chariot horses and other horses. For God gave Solomon wisdom and very great insight, and a breadth of understanding as measureless as the sand on the seashore. For Solomon's wisdom was greater than the wisdom of all the people of the East and greater than all the wisdom of Egypt. For he was wiser than anyone else, including Ethan the Ezrahite, wiser than Heman, Chalcol, and Darda, the sons of Mahol. And his fame spread to all the surrounding nations. His name was known throughout the earth. For he spoke 3,000 proverbs, and his songs numbered 1,005. Okay, so this dude wrote over 1,000 songs. Over 3,000 proverbs. The book of Proverbs, Solomon wrote it. Okay, he was brilliant. Not that he was brilliant. God made him brilliant. God prospered what he did. He spoke about plant life. He was into botany, from the cedar of Lebanon to the hyssop that grows out of the walls. He spoke about animals, birds, reptiles, and fish. Bible's basically saying this guy was a nerd. From all nations, people came to listen to Solomon's wisdom, sent by all the kings of the world who had heard of his wisdom. God would use the nerdiness that God had given him, the wisdom that God had given him, to be able to speak and influence into other nations. In your life and in my life, when we grow in wisdom and stature, God will use the wisdom that God gives us and the stature that God gives us to speak into the lives of others around us, the wisdom of heaven. It's not to make our name great. It's to make his name great. I'm going to say that one more time. It's not to make your name great. It's to make his name great. When he gives us influence, we need to use it wisely. Be blessed today.